Greetings people, I am Lucifer Seraph. Yes, this is my face and yes, I do apologise. Final Fantasy. How can you go wrong? A complicated time travel storyline with an ending that makes your actions pointless. A needlessly complicated levelling system. Not being released outside Japan. A nonsensical magic junctioning system and another complicated time travel storyline. Another needlessly complicated levelling system and awkward dialogue. Battle mechanics taken from a half-decent MMO, with a plot that vaguely resembles Star Wars and a needless license system. Yet another bullshit complicated levelling system, boring battle mechanics, and an endless long-ass corridor. Oh fucking dear. Okay, so you can go pretty damn wrong when it comes to Final Fantasy. But these are minor complaints to otherwise fairly decent games. Apart from 13, that was shite. But there is one title in the series. One title that stands out among the rest and is loved by fanboys and professional weirdos alike. Final Fantasy VII. Making the jump to 3D was a risk for Square, but it paid off with one of the most well-recognised RPGs of the mid-90s. This is the game that introduced me to the wonders of the RPG genre, and therefore holds a special place in the burnt obsidian mass that used to be my heart. That said, I plan to tear this game a new one, but not out of spite or malice, but to show you that it isn't the jewel-encrusted deity of the RPG world. And if I can piss off a few fanboys along the way, then all the better. I'll warn you now, this LP will contain spoilers, even though most of you probably already know the story anyway. But for those of you that don't, this guy's a clone, she lies to you throughout the game, this guy's a single-parent eco-terrorist, she dies, this thing is more intelligent than you, she mugs you at the first opportunity, this thing's a spy, this is the world's first astronaut, this guy's a genetic experiment gone wrong, these guys hound you throughout the game, this is the bad guy, this is his mother, and it's all this guy's fault. So now we've got that out of the way, please sit back and enjoy Final Fantasy VII. So we start off by announcing who we have to blame for the game existing, and to prove the animators have mastered the art of copy and paste. Next port of call is some rather nice music. And that's quite enough of that. Okay, we shall begin by selecting New Game. This is the PC version, downloaded from the Square Enix website, and I would highly recommend never playing this game while connected to the internet for reasons I will explain later. Space. The final frontier. This is the intro sequence that outstays its welcome. Its 45-second mission, to try and set the mood. To be all artistic and pretentious and shit. To boldly fail like no intro has failed before. Yes, it really does take this long. This is completely unedited, by the way. Okay, moving on. Now, as you're probably well aware, this dead-eyed creature is Heiress Gainsborough. She's the closest thing this game has to a token white mage, but right now she's little more than a local flower seller going about her business on the streets of the world's largest city, Midgard. And to be honest, right now she's about as important as an SCV in a Zerg rush. And after that rather nerdy analogy, we recoil in agony as a conveniently placed searchlight burns the game's title into your retina. You know, just in case you forgot what game you were playing. Now, in Norse mythology, Midgard is a plane of existence at the centre of the great tree Yggdrasil, home to the mortal races and famed for its lush and verdant landscapes. Midgard, on the other hand, is an industrial polyp on the arse of creation. In fact, the only thing it has going for it is a half-decent rail system that will happily ship eco-terrorists to any part of the city. These red things are the station's guards. Not very bright, since the first one gets taken out instantly and the other runs at full speed into a fully extended leg. Now, even though you didn't see him when the camera was above the train, the main character was riding on the roof for no other reason than to make an impressive entrance. Yes, this awkward mass of polygons is the game's main character, at the moment known simply as Ex-Soldier. A bit of a transition here while I change the in-game settings from ludicrously shite to something near playable. Now, we were given orders to follow that big brown thing that's supposed to represent another human being, but sod that, we've got corpses to loot. And military police to kill. These guys emerge from the same door that the rest of my team just went through, which means that either my team is trying to get me killed, or these guys are just a couple of cowards that wanted to fight me 2-on-1. And since they've only got 30 HP each and die if you so much as exist near them, I can't really blame them. Now, because I've been playing too much Skyrim recently, I've worked out that Ex-Soldier roughly translates in the dragon language to Eastern Woman Day, or possibly Lesbian Pie Festival. Either way, the main character knows how stupid this sounds and seeks to change his name at the first opportunity. Conveniently, the first and only opportunity presents itself when a walking Star Wars reference mentions that it can't remember your name. Yes, Biggs and Wedge, a reoccurring duo in the Final Fantasy universe and a nod to the original Star Wars movie. Jesse, on the other hand, is a nod to absolutely nothing and is here simply to have a woman on the team. Avalanche, the equal opportunity terrorist organisation. Anyway, Cloud Strife, main character, token bad anime hairstyle, and a host to a small encyclopedia's worth of psychological defects. Now, I'm not going to go through all the game's dialogue, mainly because I'd like to finish this LP before I hit 30. This scene is basically Cloud pointing out that he's here to do a job, not talk to these minor characters who will most likely die at some point. At which point the brown thing from earlier returns and announces that he doesn't trust you. This is Barrett Wallace, leader of the eco-terrorist group Avalanche. You know, your boss, the guy who hired you for delicate terrorist operations. And he doesn't trust you, even though you're already on a mission. To put this in perspective, that's like the leader of the IRA walking up to the new recruits and saying, "Right lads, welcome to the IRA, this is what we do, this is our main hideout. These are all our plans for the next financial year. Oh, by the way, I don't trust any of you. Here's the keys to the gun cabinet." Either way, this idiot gives you a tutorial on how to run, and then promptly runs off. Before we go any further, a quick rundown of the enemies you'll fight in this area. The military police you've already seen, but the mono drive is a nasty piece of work. With a pitiful 28 HP, it'll happily attack anyone in the front row of your party, or throw fire spells if you're in the back row. Next is the Guard Hound. With a nasty tentacle whip and bite attack, it'll target the party member with the lowest HP, but with only 42 HP itself, it's not hard to kill. And now, Exposition! Follow the path given to you and Barrett will inform you that this building is a reactor, which drains Mako energy from the surrounding landscape and converts it into electricity. Cloud points out once again that he's here to do a job and doesn't really care, so Barrett gets pissed off, and decides to tag along to keep an eye on you. Talk to Biggs, then Jesse to open the doors, not forgetting to grab a phoenix down in a nearby chest, and continue to the elevator for more exposition. Here, Barrett informs Cloud, and consequently the player, that Mako energy is the lifeblood of practically everything, and that these reactors are essentially killing the planet. To which Cloud informs Barrett that he's a mercenary and doesn't give a flying toss. Anyway, now you're inside the heart of the reactor, you'll find some new enemies. Firstly, the Sweeper, a kind of two-legged mechanical double machine gun wielding walking boiler contraption. It's the strongest enemy encountered up to this point, with 140 HP, a powerful machine gun attack, and a smoke shot that blinds its target. Thankfully, it's weak against Cloud's bolt spell, so it shouldn't kill you right away. The Grunt has two attacks, a claw swipe and a beam cannon. Neither of these attacks are strong and it's only got 40 HP. Finally, First Ray, a small laser turret, with a weak laser cannon attack, and only 18 HP. It has a rather odd tendency to attack the party member with the highest HP. All in all, not a problem. Once again, follow the linear path, picking up a potion along the way, and eventually you'll come across your first save point. These things are the reason I'd recommend turning off the internet while playing. Here's the thing. To download the game, you need to create an account on the Square Enix website. There, the website keeps track of your progression through the game and awards achievements. It also stores a backup of your save files on an online cloud. Now, the game is coded to give the online save files priority over the files on your computer. However, if the game can't access the cloud for whatever reason, it completely forgets about the files on your PC. Meaning that sometimes when you want to save or load, the whole thing completely shuts down. To bypass this, turn off the internet, thus forcing the game to access your PC's files. From what I can tell on the forums, this seems to be a common problem, but until they fix it, this is your only option. While here, take the opportunity to put Barrett in the back row, since he's a long-range fighter and won't receive an attack penalty for being further away. Also heal up if you need to. Continue forth, picking up the restore materia, and Cloud hears a mysterious voice telling him that it's not just a reactor, even though it clearly is. Yeah, I'm going to assume this voice is warning him about the alarm system that triggers the boss fight. If not, this is simply the first example of mistranslation. Either way, set the bomb and fight the boss. The Guard Scorpion has 4 attacks. The Search Scope simply announces who will be targeted next. The Rifle is a long-range attack which will hit for about 40 points. The Tail Attack is a short-range technique that can hit for about 60 to 70 points. And the Tail Laser can, and most likely will, knock about 90 to 100 points off both of you. Strategy-wise, spam Cloud's Bolt spell and have Barrett attack and use potions when necessary. And by when necessary, I mean when your health drops below about 120. When the boss raises its tail, use this time to heal, since any attack, physical or magical, will trigger its tail laser counterattack. This fight can screw a lot of people over. A grammatical mistranslation has Cloud tell the player to attack while the tail is up, so naturally first time players will mash attack, at which point Cloud says, and it'll counterattack with tail laser, sending many players that are new to the genre, myself included, to an early grave. Now, in all honesty, devastating as the attack is, if you manage your health properly and utilise your limit techniques as often as possible, you can survive anything this boss can dish out. And once it's taken 800 points of damage, you're rewarded with a nice experience boost and an assault gun. A new gun for Barrett which should be equipped immediately. Once you kill the boss, you now have a 10-minute time limit to reach the exit. Apparently remote detonations are beyond the capabilities of this technologically advanced civilization, and so we have to rely on digital timers. The timer may seem daunting at first, squatting in the corner of the screen like a glowing, bright pink praying mantis thing, but it's more time than you actually need. Don't forget to talk to Jessie on the way up. Apparently she's got her foot stuck in the floor. Somehow. And needs you to help her. Dirty cow. Once you've reached the top of the elevator, talk to Jessie, then Biggs to open the doors, and then make your daring escape. Now if you watch closely, you'll notice Barrett actually runs Jessie down, leaving her at the mercy of a rather large explosion. Our illustrious leader, people. I can only hope the other Mako reactors take up the slack. If not, every hospital in the vicinity is going to have a lot of corpses, where there used to be a lot of people on life support. These are the good guys, right? Anyway, we find our heroes stuck inside a sealed corridor, so Jessie sets a small explosion to clear the path, which despite all logic doesn't kill them all. Anyway, after that rather casual raping of the laws of physics, the team splits up with the intent to rendezvous at the local train station. Right after Wedge puts out the fire on his arse. Standing bewildered and confused, at least until some random twat knocks her over, Eris approaches Cloud hoping he can tell her what happened. Your response doesn't really matter, but you can buy a flower off her for 1 gil. Personally, my conversation with her usually goes along the lines of, "What happened? None of your business." you want a flower? Piss off. Either way, head south, picking up a potion en route, and Cloud gets attacked by the military police. These are the 40 HP guys you fought earlier. You can fight them if you want, but it's not worth it. After 3 encounters, no more, no less, Cloud thinks, stuff this, and jumps off a bridge. Sadly, a passing train saves his life, thus putting off his suicide and prolonging the game. This just happens to be the train the rest of your team is on. Either that or Cloud spent the last 15 minutes pissing about on the roof of a train tunnel until the right train came along. Inside, your team is completely nonplussed about the distressed sounds coming from the roof, and don't seem to care when the door opens up on its own. I don't know about you, but I'd have some questions if that happened. Anyway, Cloud's somersault into the cab is met with surprise from the team and distaste from Barrett. After a quick chat with the team and a rather too close for comfort encounter with Jessie, the team head into the train's main carriage, much to the dismay of the on-duty conductor. Jessie then prompts you to watch a simulation with her. In this simulation, you learn that Midgard is built on a gigantic metal plate, suspended 50 meters above the planet's surface. 50 meters. Take note of that because I'm going to nitpick about it in a later episode. At which point the room starts flashing red, announcing that the train is going through a security check area. Apparently some rather unsavoury characters like to come out while this is going on, which begs the question, why do they have a gigantic red light announcing it? Either way, take note of this also. It'll become important in the second mission. Cloud then falls into a political discussion with Barrett as to why the people of the slums don't just leave. Barrett points out that they're either too poor to leave or just simply proud of their land. To which Cloud responds, and I quote, "No one lives in the slums because they want to. It's like this train, it can't go anywhere except where the rails take it." Yeah, I'm not going to take the piss out of that. It's, actually quite profound. Well done, Cloud. Enjoy the intelligence while it lasts, because as soon as you leave the train, Barrett proudly announces to the world in general that the next explosion will be even bigger. Did you hear that, Mr. Security Guard? Yeah, you, the one that's only 10 feet away? I said the next explosion will be... I don't think he's listening. Follow the team and Barrett will clear the local bar of patrons by shooting something, or possibly someone, and then stand outside it like the heavily armed brick shithouse that he is. At which point he asks Clouds if he wants to see his little baby. Now I've truly no idea what the flying crap he's on about, but when I tell him to move his fat ass, he then turns to Cloud and says, "Calm down, we don't want to arouse suspicion." What the actual fuck? Anyway, talk to Barrett again and he'll let you through. This is your team's hideout, the 7th Heaven Bar. Once inside, you meet the game's next main character, Tifa Lockhart, Cloud's childhood friend, Avalanche member, and owner of not only the 7th Heaven Bar, but the game's shortest skirt, and what is possibly the strongest brassiere ever created by humanity. If you bothered to buy a flower from Ares, you now have 2 options. Give the flower to Tifa, causing her to have a fever dream about filling the bar with flowers. Dear God. Or you can give it to Marlene, Barrett's 4-year-old adopted daughter, causing Barrett to give you a rather distasteful look over his shoulder, which frankly just makes me uncomfortable. You can take time out to talk to the members of Avalanche if you want to, but personally I wouldn't bother. And once you try to leave, Barrett will enter and announce a meeting underneath the pinball machine. Okay. Once the team descends, you can talk to Tifa for some filler dialogue. Either way, follow the team via the pinball elevator and talk to Barrett. After a discussion where Barrett accuses Cloud of missing his friends in Soldier, Cloud announces that he wants to be paid. Back upstairs, Tifa reminds Cloud of a promise he made to her 7 years ago. In a flashback, a young Cloud announces that he's leaving his hometown of Nibelheim to become a member of Soldier, an elite fighting force owned by the Shinra Electric Power Company. You know, those guys whose reactor you just blew up. I see a worm, and it appears to be turning. His dream is to be as strong as the great Sephiroth, one of Soldier's most skilled fighters. The promise they make is that if Tifa is ever in trouble, Cloud will come and save her. Somewhat cliché, but it manages to convince Cloud into staying with Avalanche a while longer. Especially when Barrett enters and announces proudly that a promise is a promise. Yeah, subtle. He also announces that he's paying his team with the money he saved for Marlene's education. What a douche. And so Cloud beds down for the night in what is possibly the most uncomfortable location in the building. Anyway, this concludes our first leap into the world of Final Fantasy VII. Join me next time for the second mission, a rather long-winded discussion with Aeris, and maybe a Futurama reference for flavour. So, take care of yourselves, guys. Hope to see you soon, but until then, this is Lucifer Seraph signing off.